Mayfield, possibly out of Cleveland. You want to be a boss? That's how you be a boss. I did. I made a mistake. I better turn this off. All right, the man is with us. We go right to the man. When the man joins us, we go to the man. That's what we do. You know what's happened here. Brandon Miller, the kid who brought the gun, there's no denying a gun was transported to a scene of a murder. He brought the gun. There are a variety of facts, both on video apparently and written, that have come out. Dan Wetzel, who is the man, when Dan Wetzel writes about you, it's either the greatest thing in your life or the worst thing in your life. Not sure which one. And he does have great hair, and I am jealous, as I made a video earlier. All right, Dan, where are you on this whole Brandon Miller thing?
So, I'm a little more of just an observer. I find I don't necessarily know. I'm not the pound the table, you need to do this or you need to do that. But I am fascinated by what is done. And I've never seen a case in college athletics where something this serious went down and a player was not disciplined, suspended. Like just the facts of this case, I thought they're going to suspend him. They're going to do something. I don't know. It's a very unusual case. I don't recall anything quite like this where you have a kid this involved in something serious. He probably wasn't necessarily fully forthcoming with his coaches and athletic department if they didn't know until it came out in court. And there's no discipline at all. Nate Oates, wrong spot at the wrong time. Just a really regrettable comment. But then the actions of Alabama since then pretty much back up that kind of sentiment that it was just, hey, this just happened. And then you step back and you look and you go, I mean, an Alabama basketball player is up for capital murder, and two of his teammates were also involved per the police at some level. They're not going to be arrested, but I mean, this is an incredible scandal, or if that's it, if you want to call it that, a tragedy that we haven't normally seen in college basketball. So it's a very interesting story to watch. I'm not necessarily going to demand anything, but I'm surprised. I'll put it that way.
Dan, I'm glad you brought up the fact that this is, number one, a tragedy. I think we're losing sight of that. And number two, basketball doesn't have 100 players. Football's got 100 players. Basketball, 13. Maybe there's a couple guys at the end of the bench to help with the GPA as walk-ons. And you're talking about three of that group. Let's just say 3 of the 13 scholarship players are involved, whatever level, in a murder. That is being lost right now. I think a lot of focus on Brandon Miller, rightfully so, but it's being lost. What the hell's going on here when 3 of, let's just say 13, are involved in a murder? And one may get the chair.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we had there was a shooting and a killing at New Mexico State earlier this year, but that was a self-defense case. I just don't really recall this. You go back to Baylor, 2003, things like that. But if you're Nate Oates, I mean, this is a player. Darius Miles is a player you brought to camp. You brought all these guys to campus. So, and I bring this up. I don't know if anyone else. This is a tragedy. One woman loses her life. There was at least 11 shots fired that night. And if you've ever been to the Strip where this took place in Tuscaloosa, it is your classic stretch of college bars and little restaurants and things like that, 1 block from campus. That is a crowded place. There are a lot of just innocent people walking around, coming out of a diner late night or going to a bar or finishing their shift. And they just shot the place up. And this tragedy could have been more widespread very, very easily. And 1 week after Michigan State, where innocent kids are shot, the idea that someone's just ringing bullets around Tuscaloosa, would be, I would think, infuriating for students, for parents, for people who live in that town. Not something you say, oh, no big deal. He's not going to be charged. And then I think you just take and look. This is just the problem with society. But Brandon Miller's probably the best player in the country, and Alabama might be the best team in the country. So we're not just talking. It was one thing when it was just the way public consciousness works when it's a guy who really wasn't playing much. But when you're looking and saying, "Hey, this is the best guy in the country," holy cow, he just put 41 up on South Carolina and was just dominated the basketball game. And this guy could lead Alabama to the national title. It takes on a bigger extent as just a story.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You know, I've had NBA guys before this tell me that Brandon Miller's the best college prospect, meaning he'll be the third player picked in the draft. You got a couple guys, you know, the one big kid, and then you got a G League guy. Dan, what are the facts in this case? As you see them, what are the facts?
Well, there's a lot to the case, but in terms of Brandon Miller, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, Brandon Miller.
So, all right, so if you take the his lawyer statement, and that would be the most favorable telling of the story, right? You pay a defense attorney to tell the most favorable, put your story in the most favorable light. So let's just take that, be as generous to Brandon Miller as possible. In that statement that his attorney put out, it says he's driving around and he gets, I could probably read the whole thing directly. The critical part is he says, as Brandon was already on his way to pick up Mr. Miles texted Brandon and asked him to bring him his firearm. Brandon subsequently arrived at the scene to pick up Mr. Miles. Okay. So, and court testimony shows there was a text message that said, basically, bring me my gun. And I'm in this kind of dispute. There's a threat. There's, some guys, I don't know if they'll do anything. They used a bunch of different language. I'm not going to repeat. So Brandon Miller, by his own attorney's most favorable light standing, drove the weapon to the scene. And then the gun was retrieved from the back of his car. He says earlier it was he had driven Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles left the gun in his back seat, perhaps under an article of clothing. With defense attorneys, what's important is not just what they say, but what they don't say, right? Because if they had anything else they could put in the best light, they would mention it. So when I read this, I take it as Brandon Miller knew there was a gun in the back seat. Because if Dan, if I drop you off somewhere and then you text me and say, "Hey, bring me my gun," I would, and I don't know it's in the back seat. I would say, "Why? What gun? Why would I? Where do I get your gun? You want me to go to your house? I wouldn't know, right?" If Brandon Miller did not know the gun was in the back seat, his attorney would say, "This guy didn't even know it was in the back seat," and that would be a tremendous defense, right? Look, I gave him a ride earlier. He left some clothes in the back seat. Guns under the clothes. He had no idea. He didn't say that. So it suggests to me, I think quite convincingly, that he did know there was a gun there, and he drove it over to the scene. The other stuff, whether, and it's important, Brandon Miller didn't touch the gun. Brandon Miller didn't know. He did not know. You certainly can't prove the intent of what he was doing. Like, what was this guy doing? But he did know there was a fight. He did know there was a dispute. He did know these guys were at a bar. He may or may not have known that Davis, the trigger man, told police he was so drunk he doesn't remember anything. So at 1:38 in the morning, he drove over with a gun that he knew was in the backseat of his car that Darius Miles requested, and that was used in the commission of a crime and shot up Tuscaloosa, and a woman passed away, was murdered. Those are the facts to me that are indisputable, and that is going off of the statement from the attorney. Now, there's additionally the police saying Brandon Miller and another teammate both parked their Dodge cars in a manner that blocked the Jeep where the shooting was in on this road. The defense attorney disputes that and suggests there's video evidence that would say otherwise. That would be a contested fact. I don't know. Are the police wrong? Maybe. Is this a judgment call? Maybe. Are the police just lying? I don't know. Maybe. Or is the defense attorney lying? I don't know. That's why you have trials, if there is a trial. So we don't know the situation on that. My guessing is video will come out and it'll be a judgment call. I don't think the police are making it up. I don't think the defense somewhere in the middle there is going to be like, well, was he blocking? Was he not? Did he mean to block? Did he not? I don't know. But the police brought that up. So those would be the issues for Brandon Miller. And again, I'm not taking the most difficult set of facts for him. I'm taking his own attorney's words on that.
Dan, I have a brother who was a 10-year prosecutor in Indianapolis, a sister's 25-year prosecutor down in Monroe County in Bloomington, and they both told me one of the biggest issues here, not maybe the biggest, but one of the biggest issues here is the blocking. If he blocked the woman and the boyfriend in, he's part of the murder. Is their description. It's very simple. If he intentionally, or whoever intentionally blocked somebody in and now there's a murder, you are part of the murder, that becomes a really big deal. And I'm assuming if the police said that he blocked him in, it'd be hard for me, again, based on conversations with two people that are, that were prosecutors, it'd be hard for me to imagine why they just let that go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why my guess is it's a judgment call on did he block or did he know.
Right.
I did read the Alabama statutes last night. And, you can do things that are innocent that are kind of called a furtherance of a crime. Like it's not against the law if you walked into a bank and checked out where all the security cameras are, or drew up a map of what a bank looks like, or bought, a wire cutter or something like that. But if you then handed it to him or to a known bank robber and he went and robbed the bank, you would be at least in the furtherance of the thing. So you can do something innocent, but you do have to know the intent. I'm going to trust the Tuscaloosa prosecutor and let them do their job and say, all right, this is how they saw the case. They're not going to charge. That's fine. For me to sit there and say, you should be charged, you should do this would be overstep. All I can go with was what the available facts are. And so he's not going to get charged, at least as we know right now, which is fine. That's how the system works. But then, the other option is, what does Alabama do? Is this the behavior? I've never seen a program play someone under these circumstances. We haven't seen these circumstances much, but in most cases, I was surprised. When it first came out, I actually didn't believe the story. The quotes from Nate Oates and stuff are accurate because they were just so over the top. And then you watch the video and you're like, okay, so those are the real. Then I watched real carefully and listened. I wrote the other day, I don't think he knew all the facts of the case. And that turned out to be true. But the actions of Alabama follow what Nate Oates was saying quite, they fall in line with that. Wrong spot, wrong time.
I know you got to run. I'm always fascinated being in college athletics for a long time, and faculty on, whether it was Bowling Green or Indiana, they always had a voice in different things. It's always amazing to me. I don't hear any faculty members expressing any concern. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they should, but it's just my own personal thing. I just never, it always surprises me because faculty is so involved in so many different areas, including in the athletic department. It just amazes me. I never hear faculty in these things, Dan. It's just my personal take.
I'm surprised a little of that. Again, I don't know that the fact there were 11 shots fired that day and Davis was hit.
Man.
You think about what everybody's been to a college bar scene. Tuscaloosa's no different than any others. You go out, it's 1:30 in the morning on a street. Well, yeah, the street's right in front of like 20 bars in a college town and little diners and all the other things the kids do. That would be more as troubling. That would be additionally troubling. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But this could have been a much worse tragedy. Yeah. And the idea that this is the basketball team, it's a very unusual situation for Alabama to say, all right, we're moving on. No one was charged with a felony here. None of the guys that were charged we'll kick the player who was charged off, but the other guys are not. It's a certainly an unexpected, in my opinion, of covering this sport for a long time, and you've been in the sport a long time, response to this.
People from Indiana, there are a lot of people watch this from Indiana. It would be literally like 11 shots firing right in front of Nick's at Kirkwood. I've been to Alabama. I've been on that strip. 1:30 in the morning, there's all kind of people out, and it'd be like literally for you IU people, it would be like firing 11 shots, blocking off something, and firing 11 shots on Kirkwood, which is unfathomable. Dan, I know you got to run, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I love your work, as I hope you know.
Anytime, Dan. Appreciate you having me.
Man, that was terrific. Now, common sense. Now, the question becomes for you or for Nate Oates. Now, let's talk about, again, the facts. The facts were Nate Oates played Brandon Miller last night, and the facts were Brandon Miller had 41 points, most by a freshman this year in college basketball, most by a freshman in the history of Alabama basketball. And every time he touched the ball, the crowd was booing. Every time he touched the ball, they were talking about lock him up. And so the kid, let's just take the tragedy just aside, because that's what Alabama did. Alabama put the tragedy aside and said, we're going to play. The kid has a mental toughness that really is not common. And, hey, look, I would assume that he is going to come out of this better. In terms of, people have asked me about the NBA draft. Unless something else comes out, I'm just telling you the way NBA people look at things. Unless something else comes out, he is going to be viewed as incredibly mentally tough by the NBA. Now, that's just the basketball part. I'm not going to tell you that he is going to move up or down. I think there's a lot yet to still come out on this. But in terms of the basketball, just the basketball, last night was a really good night for the future of Brandon Miller. I mean, I want you to think about this. How do we talk about modern day, quote, kids? Well, they're not mentally tough. When something bad happens, they wilt. They need Play-Doh. They need a safe space. I got to tell you, Brandon Miller showed, I'm just talking basketball here. Brandon Miller showed last night that he has an uncommon toughness to him. The rest of the team scored like 30. Now, let me take this. A lot of people are asking me, well, they have to have him to win a national championship, and that's what Alabama is about. You're exactly right. Look, the dude scored 41, tough road game. They get to win in overtime. Rest of the team scores like 34. You think? You think they need him? But the bigger issue for me, and this is something I cannot get past, is that you have not one, not two, but 3 of your players involved in a murder. Now, you can, whatever level of involvement, one guy shot, one guy was there, one guy brought a gun. Hey, look, you take whatever level involvement you would like. But that's the bottom line. Again, football, you got 100 guys, so you have a bigger pool. Right? I mean, you're bringing walk-ons on, that, okay, I'm not excusing it. I'm just giving you the math on it. Basketball, Nate Oates and his staff have decided who to bring on campus. They decided, excuse me, these 3 guys are who we're going to have on campus, among 10 more. There's 13 scholarships. 3 of them involved in a murder. That, my friends, is what I would be asking if I was an athletic director. That, my friends, is what I would be asking if I were a faculty member, if I were a dean, if I were a parent. If I were a parent, I would say, wait a second, what's going on here? Now, this doesn't condemn all of Alabama. Like, I know, my family knows Montana Fouts, star pitcher for the Alabama softball team. Great lady. Pat Murphy, the softball coach, great guy, great dude. But when you look at Alabama, you say, wait a second, they allowed their wide receiver, Jermaine Burton, to slap a girl, and now they have 3 guys, not 1, not 2, not a stray guy. Dan mentioned Baylor way back before Scott Drew took it over. There was a stray guy that got involved in some kind of deal and murdered a teammate. They talk about self-defense in the New Mexico thing. This is a murder with, as Dan said, 11 shots fired. And again, those of you at Purdue, you know what I'm talking about. Harry's Chocolate Shop right there, the whole strip. 11 shots in the middle of the night. Could you imagine Bloomington? Could you imagine Kirkwood being shot up? It'll happen. If you don't think it'll happen, you're crazy. You know it'll happen. You know it'll happen. So it's going to be a fascinating deal what happens moving forward, because I don't think it's over. I don't. I don't think that this is over. I'm not sure. I don't know what else is going to come out, but I don't think it's over. All right. 1985, ladies and gentlemen. 1985 is a long time ago, and it was a day just like this. In Indianapolis right now, it is 65 and sunny. In Bloomington, on the 24th of February, it was at least 65 and sunny. I remember walking from my car into the game. But first, before we get into this, I want you all to hear Nate Oates. Let's hear from Nate Oates post-game.
Quite a game, but before we get into the game, just want to address yesterday's press conference and my response to the Brandon Miller question. I'm not here to make excuses, but I want to make it clear that I didn't have the details from the hearing that morning since I was coming straight from practice. And I used a poor choice of words, making it appear like I wasn't taking this tragic situation seriously, which we have throughout the course of it. I sincerely apologize for that. I know Greg shared some information earlier today on the situation. I don't really have anything more to add other than what he's already said. So.
Start on Zoom with Nick Kelly.
Yeah, Nate, what led the decision for Brandon to play today?
Well, as Greg said earlier, we make decisions based on available facts, and that's what we did here.
There you go. But the bottom line is Nate Oates brought three guys that are involved in capital murder. Bottom line. However you want to spin it, however you want to play, whoever you want to play, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the bottom line. Three guys brought by him onto a campus involved in capital murder. Now, you can say to me, well, you don't know what kids are doing outside. Hey, look, I didn't have angels. I had a kid get arrested for robbery. I had a kid get a DUI. I get that. But it ain't capital murder. And over 10 years, I had one, not three, in one evening where they were so stupid, so arrogant, so obnoxious, so ridiculous, so drunk, so whatever, that they shot up a college downtown. That's the bottom line. Everybody can say, lawyers can write, but the bottom line is Nate Oates brought three. Not one, not two, but three guys involved in capital murder. All right, before we go to break, 1985, February 24th, I was a stud senior at Indiana. We were getting our brains beat out during the season. It was a glorious day. It was a beautiful day, just like today in Indianapolis. There's always a day in Bloomington where it is gorgeous out on a Saturday in January or February. Always at least one, and this was the day. I'm walking from my car into the arena assembly hall, and I'm like, what a great day. Purdue's in. Let's see if we can get her done. It does not start well. I was not a starter in this game. Knight was mad at me or whatever. We get off to a bad start. I had gotten moved down from the bench to get ready to come in. And then it happened. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Knight looked around. He ain't happy with London Bradley. You see me bottom left, right there. There's my head right there, hands over right there. And he lets her fly. Steve Reed is at the free throw line. London Bradley comes over, whose son eventually played baseball at Indiana. Steve Reed, the little batch that he is, runs over and picks up the chair. Knight's getting ready to get tossed. And if you look at our bench, we don't move. We don't move. You see Purdue's kind of huddling. Knight's going nuts. What a glory. And then after, because I was kind of the team spokesman, well, what did you think? I said, I didn't think anything. Seen the guy do it 100 times. Seen the guy throw 52 of them in a row. Are you kidding me? There's me with my hands on my face and my Indiana shirt, getting ready to go in. Whap! There he goes. And away we go. Bobby Knight said, screw it. I'm tossing the chair, and I ain't even mad about it. That's right. I'm giving it a toss. Uwe Glop said before the start of the game, Danny, he spoke German, Danny, Coach Knight is getting thrown out today. And the question is, what are you talking about? He not wearing his sport coat. See what he's wearing right there? It's the first game. First game. Bob Knight didn't wear a plaid sport coat or a red sport coat or any type of sport coat. First game. First regular season game, because it was a nice day in Bloomington. It was warm. It was 70. It was glorious. It was gorgeous. You kidding me? It was great. Well, guess what? Bob Knight threw it, and Bob Knight got the boot. Bob Knight got suspended, and Bob Knight exited the building, and then, in fact, had a meeting with the AD, and then exited everything, got in his car, and away he went. I can't remember whether or not, I can't remember whether he called us, me, the captains, to his house. I don't really remember that. I think he was too busy trying to save his own job. I think. I'm not sure. But you know what? He did what he did. He aimed high, he let her fly, and the world was never the same. You know where he got that from? I mean, look, I'm looking at the YouTube chat. You know where he got that from? He got that from baseball, his buddy La Russa. Baseball players threw crap on the field all the time. He got that from La Russa. Dan, was Duncan Reed Steve's dad? Yes. Yes, that was his kid. He had Billy and he had Steve. Steve was a good player. Steve was an absolutely good player. Brad Buffington says it was a beautiful day and Coach Knight wanted to go hunting. That could very well be true. I'm not saying that's not true. The YouTube chat is absolutely pumping. I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, I would argue you may be right. But honest to God, when he threw the chair, none of us, and I mean none of us, flinched. We'd seen it. It is no big deal. It became a big deal. And here we are. What is it, 40 years later? What's 1985? That's 15. 15 plus 23 is 38. We're almost on the 40-year anniversary. Holy cow. So anyway, there you go. You don't really see it, and maybe I have the story wrong, but earlier, it must have been earlier in the game, Knight grabbed his jacket to throw it. He and Gene Katie used to throw it, but when you look at this video, clearly he doesn't do that here. So my brain must be a little bit discombobulated. Linda SD asks, where is that chair? That chair's with Chuck Crabb. Chuck Crabb, the longtime PA announcer, was smart enough to not tell anybody and grab the chair. Yeah. Our boy Doyle did an article about where's the chair. It was a full of crap article. Our boy Doyle, I also learned this, 2015, Doyle did an article. Think about that. I want you to think about this. On Teddy Valentine. Indiana fans, you all love Teddy Valentine, right? Teddy Valentine and Bob Knight are synonymous. So back in 2015, this is how wrong the Indy Star always is about stuff. In 2000, there I am. Night, I'm pointing. The hair is glorious. Need to trim the sides up a little bit. Bad brown sport coat, but you know what? It was very, 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 very comfortable. And you put the nice brown tie, and it was a precursor for going to Indiana. Or excuse me, for going to Bowling Green, brown and orange. My man, let me go back to Doyle for just a second. So Doyle writes this article about where's the chair. We all know where the chair is. Chuck Crabb got the chair. All right. But in 2015, Teddy Valentine, if you remember, Knight storms by Teddy Valentine. Well, Teddy Valentine got the boot from the NCAA tournament. My man Doyle writes this article. I'm telling you, the Indy Star doesn't get anything right. In it, he talks about how Teddy Valentine wasn't going to work the 2015 NCAA tournament to tend to a family member that didn't, I don't think, exist. Doyle writes this article. The head of officials calls him up and says, Doyle, this is just simply not true. I'm telling you, don't believe anything you read in the Indy Star with Doyle for sure, but anywhere. He wrote an article about a person, and it didn't have, and Doyle said, oh, I should have checked it out. You think? So a lot of crap you read about Knight is just not true. Knight was an awful human being to me after. Stud, but I love playing for him. He was a fair guy. He was a very smart guy. He taught you about preparation, but don't believe the crap you read about him because none of these guys were there. None of these guys were there. How good is that hair, though? When you look at lower left right here, how good is this hair? I want to ask you, how good is this hair? Twitter. Right here, you'll see it. See the Indiana on my back over here? You'll see it. Right there. Look at that lettuce. Joby Wright, Jim Cruz, legends. Legends that couldn't coach any of us. They were so scared of Coach Knight. Brandon says, I was a guest of Dr. Sangalang, 10 years old. That's right. It's the anniversary, baby. And honest to God, it is a day just like this. Beautiful. So it's too bad Indiana doesn't play. Woody should wear that shirt. Woody should toss it. And away we go. Anyway, what a great day. I remember after the game, we came back to my apartment. It was a nice day. We thought we were going to have practice. So we waited for my phone to ring. And it might have been the night that Knight called us to come back into the locker room. And Uwe's like, I ain't going back in there without a couple beers. And he chugged 2 big old beers, and away you go. There's Chuck Crabb. There's the chair. Again, don't believe a damn thing you read in the Indianapolis Star, particularly with my man Doyle. It's all crap and made up. Unbelievable. I saw that Zach Osterman today, the writer for the Indianapolis Star, said, kudos to Doyle for no, there it is. And there's Chuck Crabb. Teddy Valentine. Oh, man, I had a great lunch yesterday with John Adams, and when he told me that, I just laughed. I just absolutely, positively laughed. Kevin Wolf says, hey, Dan, no mullet. Yeah, no mullet. I don't mullet. Never mulleted. But I got a bone to pick with you people that are bald. I got a bone to pick with all of you people that are bald, you men that are bald when we come back. You told me something that turned out to absolutely not be true. There's our people right there. It should say, we make stuff up. Teddy Valentine missed the 2015 NCAA tournament to tend to a sick family member. Total crap. Totally made up. Was banned from the 2015 NCAA tournament. Oh, man, media sucks. We'll be right back. I got a bone to pick with you Indy people.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader.
I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life.
ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
So the higher that number can be, the better you are with the committee. It's really that simple.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
He's got incredible taste in which media figures he listens to.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
Why are we going through Melania's goods? Don't make Brittany Griner out to be some type freedom fighter. Shouldn't there be a little bit of common sense? Let's roll them, big boy. What do you got?
They want to find someone to be the face of domestic terrorism, and they want it to be a right-wing Trump supporter. Don't let them entrap you into doing something dumb. But they were hyper-rational. They looked at the data, and they said it makes no sense for me to submit to this COVID shot mandate.
Get the shot or you can't go to your brother's wedding. Get the shot or you can't go to your daughter's graduation. Get the shot or else.
You know, this is not a big deal. I mean, it's really not. I mean, I fall upstairs all the time, but I'm not the weakest president or the most insane president or the weirdest president in the history of our country. Joe Biden embarrasses us again. Joe Biden, man, when you watch this dude, it's like The Walking Dead. How did you all vote for him? I don't understand. Let's get a little look on Jersey Joe Biden trying to climb stairs to get to Air Force One or Two or whatever the hell it is. Whoops. Now, you got to understand. Yeah, there you go. Hey, how are you? What am I supposed to do? No one's here to tell me. You got to understand. This is a true story. I know people that work in the White House. I do. And Biden can't pick up his feet. Like if you watch him walk, he shuffles. So they have to take all of the cords for different things out or else he'll fall constantly. It's really sad. It would be really sad if he didn't just look at us, lie to us, if he didn't take our tax dollars, send them to the Ukraine or to the Michelle Obama, whatever the hell Michelle Obama's thing is. It would be really sad if that wasn't who he was. But that's who he is. And that's what he's trying to do to the American people. If he put America first, then we would all say, okay, guy fell, we love him. He could be the old curmudgeon-y guy, but he's not. He's just a dude that, frankly, is killing us, strangling us, destroying us. All right, let's check out a little Donald Trump video. I think Donald Trump's a pig, but at least Donald Trump cares about America. I think at least Donald Trump puts us first. I don't think you'd be seeing Donald Trump sending hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine, but here's Donald Trump. Let's see a little bit of Trump. Now, just a little bit different. I mean, look, my favorite thing about Trump is he's politically very smart. He understands going to East Palestine. Now, you can believe whatever you want to believe about East Palestine, but I got to tell you, the fact that our president, Biden, refuses to go visit a place, and if you saw that explosion, you'd be like, what the hell's going on around here? You would see, and there, of course, this is who is waiting for Donald Trump. Perhaps it's why Joe Biden refuses to go. Well, I got to tell you, when you are all about them and not us, it's hard in this world. It just is. And you can get mad at me for saying it, but I think we would all agree we would like a president that puts America first. Somehow, I've told you this, I'm going to start either wearing an America First hat, Save America, or Make America Great hat on this show. Why am I going to wear the hat? Because you people of Indianapolis, you bald men, you lied to me. You told me coming home would make me look better. No, I look like the old stupid coach that I never wanted to look like. I look like the old guy. Oh, remember old Satch? He coached softball here from 68 to 80. Ah, dang, he was good. Well, Satch, tell us what you learned. Well, I had some really good players around then. I get invited all the time to these coaches' lunches, and I don't want to go because I'm going to look like them. Nah, I don't want to look like the old coach, the old guy. Hey, how you doing, man? Oh, you know, I had a kid back in 1984. Golly gee, he should have been on the Indiana All-Star. No, I don't want to look like that, and that's what I look like now. I am young, I am hip, I am virile. I can go to any club in town and give you a little bit of that, give you a little bit of this. But what happens? I look like this. I'm starting to look like my Uncle Roy, and I blame the men of Indianapolis. You told me coming home would be great. You told me shaving my head would be awesome. You told me these things. Right, I look like Curly from the Three Stooges. Yes, that's what I look like. I'll just walk around and make people laugh. I guess that's my new thing. It's crap. It's crap. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but man, athletes are out of their freaking minds. ALVIN KAMARA, the running back for the Saints, I got to tell you, these dudes are idiots. I mean, they're stone idiots. And this guy, Chris LAMMONS, and two others were just beating the living crap out of some guy. Look at this brawl. They just jumped this guy. Look at them stomping on this guy. Look at these punks. Honest to God. And look at this clown down here, bottom left. Well, you know, man, just, you know. And then here come more idiots. Look at these idiots. Look at this whole crowd of idiots. Now, why you got to do this? Why are you involved in this? Why are you as ALVIN KAMARA? Are you trying to get down? Are you trying to stay real, man? No, you're an idiot. You're a punk. You're all punks. Everybody that jumps on a guy is a punk. I don't care if you're black, white, green, or purple. If you're jumping a guy, you are a punk. And that's exactly what they're doing here. I don't understand how dudes get off charges. I honestly don't. I don't understand how guys just get off. ALVIN KAMARA right now is facing charges of battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. The NFL don't care. None of us care. Like, I understand I'm urinating into the wind here by caring about how athletes act. I understand that. Truly, I do. I understand that I, ladies and gentlemen, am wrong. And athletes can get away with whatever the hell it is. Athletes and actors. You know, middle-aged white dude, I defend a young couple from getting fired in Scottsburg, and it's national news. These dudes here beat the living crap out of people, and next thing you know, it's fine. Because everybody's so afraid of taking on the African-American athlete. I got to tell you, I don't care if ALVIN KAMARA is white, black, green, or purple. This is crap. If he's white, put his ass in jail. Don't let him play in the NFL. If he's black, put his in jail and don't let him play in the NFL. It's that simple. Why do we encourage thug behavior? Why do we encourage idiots? We just do. Set the bar low, people will jump it. Set the bar high, people will reach it. That's unbelievable. But we just allow, he played all year. This idiot played all year. Tell me again about the NFL. Tell me again about all the pro. No, all these guys, they play all year. How many of these aren't caught on tape? Oh, you're racist, Doc. No, I don't care if you're white or black. You jump somebody, honest to God, then you should go to jail. If you do this, you should go to jail. I'll tell you who else should go to jail. You're not going to agree with this. You're not going to agree with this even a little bit. All right? You're not going to agree with this. But I got to tell you, I got to tell you, first thing I would do if I were I'd suspend him. Second thing I would do is I would bring this video, bring KAMARA into my office if I were the owner and say, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? I wouldn't even wait for the commissioner. I wouldn't wait. Be over. These guys are idiots, man. They're out of, and I see it too much. I absolutely see it. I see it way too much. Way too much. I ain't talking about black. I'm talking about white. I'm talking about everybody. But hey, middle-aged white guy, you say you defend your high school or you defend your college from cheating, you get suspended. I get it. Beat the hell out of people. Didn't miss a game. Yeah, good. Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino should be hired for every job in college basketball that is open. Rick Pitino has won 20 games again at Iona. I continue to talk about Rick Pitino because, well, frankly, I don't think Rick Pitino got a fair shake. I don't think Rick Pitino, in his dealings with Louisville, I think he got a raw deal. I do. I don't know what the hell he did or didn't do with Hooker. I have no idea. But you know what? I'm tired of the whole deal. Hey, look, if assistant coaches are providing hookers, what are you doing? What about players that are going to hookers? You can't get a date? Everybody's at fault here. Pitino has paid a sentence. Kenny Johnson, one of the idiots that was his assistant, he just went and moved on to another coaching job. Yeah, if I am a big-time program, I'm hiring Rick Pitino today. Let's be honest. We got 3 guys at Alabama involved in murder, and nobody really cares. People say they care, but Brandon Miller's still playing. He went out and got 40. I mean, what did Rick Pitino do compared to that? Does everything now have to be compared to murder? Look, if I'm Rick Pitino, he is considering, we can show a little bit of the article here. He is considering jobs. He got offered Maryland. I don't know if he got offered, but Maryland reached out to him last year. Now, Maryland's a great job. Maryland is a really good job. They pay a lot of green. So I would hire Rick Pitino tomorrow to run my basketball program. I would tell Rick Pitino, I get it, you got a big ego. You may not want the job because I got a big ego too. And if you F this up, if you do anything outside the lines, I'm going to fire you. And then you can sue, and I'm going to put all of this in your contract. Love to have you. Going to pay you millions. But I'm not dealing with any shenanigans. Here's the deal. Take it, leave it, go back to Iona, go win your 20 games, win an NCAA tournament game, and be frustrated that you're not on TV. That's what I would do. The weirdest of the weird, our good friend Pete Buttigieg out for personal time. How much personal time do these guys get? Let me ask you, where's the YouTube chat here? Where's the YouTube chat? YouTube chat. Let me ask you a question. How much personal time do you all get? Like, aren't you when you are, I don't know, aren't you when you're a public servant? Because that's what these guys always talk about. I'm a servant. Really? All right, you're a servant. So he's a servant. He's out with his husband, and they're walking. Well, let's show the video. Do we have the video of Buttigieg?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Jenny Terra at the Daily Caller News Foundation. What do you have to say to the folks in Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now?
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, be sure to reach out to our press office, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Just walk
You
down
don't
the
have a
street
message
here.
for them?
I do, and I shared it with the press many times today. I'd refer you to those comments.
Would you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press because right now I'm taking some personal time and I'm walking down the street.
Are you going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Yeah, I am.
When are you going?
I'll share that when I'm ready.
Okay,
Not talking on the
thank you.
street. Can I get a photo of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he took a photo of the woman. I'm having personal time. Dude took like 10 months off because he had a baby. He didn't even have the baby. I mean, what are you doing? Like, you're paid to serve us. How many vacation days does Biden have? I mean, what are we normally doing here, Taylor or Patrick or Who's Your Daddy or Jeff Weaver or Gary Beatty? Gary Beatty says he's retired. It's all personal time. I get it. I got personal time. Shut the hell. You know what that is? I swear to God, I worked in a corporation, whether it was a college or for MS or for Radio 1 for, 30 years, whatever it is. I never used the word personal time. I always thought that people that use the words personal time are gaming the system. That's just me. I did. Well, I'm taking one of my personal days. Yeah, well, I get it. I feel I'm on personal time. Shut up. You signed up to be the head of transportation. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, by the way, Rick Bungle, I don't, if you're offended, then there's no reason to watch the show. But he loves how I only go after LGBTQ people or black people. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I just read and I react to who's creating news. And Pete Buttigieg, I don't give a damn whether he's LGBTQRE, HIJKW, whatever. I don't care about any of it. What I care about, ladies and gentlemen, is that he signed up for this. There have been catastrophe after catastrophe under his watch. And frankly, I think he's full of crap. And once I think somebody's full of crap, you know what I do? I can't stop on him. I wish I could, but I can't. I can't stop. I can't. So you don't like it? You don't like it. I don't know what to tell you. Guess what Buttigieg did? Oh, baby, Buttigieg just went down to where? Where did he go? Say it after me. East Palestine, Ohio. Why do you think he went there? Why do you think all of a sudden, out of the blue, he went there? Why? Well, you know why. I know why. He went there because frickin', say it with me, Donald Trump went there. There finally was pressure to go there. He's got his little hat, he's got his little glasses, he's got his little thing. Yay, Rod, go fight, win. You know what Trump did? Trump went to McDonald's and bought everybody hamburgers and cheeseburgers and quarter pounders and Big Macs and fries, and he told the people, look, I don't know what to tell you. Hey, man, I know this order, this menu better than anybody. Good for Donald Trump, man. Seriously, good for Donald Trump. All right, yay, rock, go fight, win, D. Trump. I'm a big fan. That's what he should be doing. But Pete Buttigieg is on personal time. Hi, I'm on personal time. I don't feel like I'm ever on personal time. I'm not going to lie to you. When I go out to dinner, as I did Saturday night, or Friday night, I can't remember, must have been Friday, people coming up, people taking pictures, people telling me Bob Knight stories, and I'm just at this little bar called Peterson's, and I'm a nobody. According to the Indy Star, I've been fired from every job. Everybody hates me. But when I go out, I don't feel like I'm on personal time. There's no personal time when you're in the public eye. There's no personal time when you're a guy or gal that has been elected by the people. There's only personal time for these clowns that have been using the system. That's it. That's it. That's all. College basketball last night, I'm going to tell you something. Those of you that are paying attention, I know Clay just retweeted it, so we got a big audience, but I got to tell you, Kentucky was a 2.5-point favorite over Florida without their best player. I don't have to work the rest of this month. We made so much on Kentucky, it's unbelievable. 2.5. Now, it looked a little dicey, and I thank my friend John Adams, head of officials, for it. We were having lunch yesterday. John's a longtime head of NCAA officials, and he goes, did you see this? He goes, what do you make of this? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, Kentucky's 2.5-point favorite only, and the Castleton kid is out. And he doesn't bet, John, but, you know, we all pay attention. I bet. So I'm like, huh. And he knew I bet, so he showed it to me. I go, John, I think I got to take that. He goes, I would think so. And then I put it in a bunch of parlays, and we going to Sizzler. We going to Sizzler, and you can't have the... That's right. And we are going to Sizzler. We are absolutely going to Sizzler because we made a boatload of money. Kentucky ended up getting the win. Put those scores back up if you don't mind. Tulane, who's 17-6. Now, this is where I want to help you out here. Houston is good. Houston is really good. Like Tulane at home is 17-6. Do you know how many times in your life as a basketball coach, I don't care if you're in Indiana, Houston, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Drexel, I don't care. Do you know how many times you win by 30 on the road in your conference? I don't care if it's a bad team. It ain't very many. It just is not very many. I like the fact that they've got Indiana beating Vanderbilt down there in the left-hand corner. Indiana didn't play Vanderbilt, but you know what? We need a win. You're damn right we do. We need a win, a big win. That's right. So thank you for that, Dylan and Ryan. We'll take it. Of course, Alabama, the kid Brandon Miller, if you're just joining us, say whatever you want. Say whatever you'd like, but I got to tell you, the dude had 41, most points by a freshman this year, most points in the history of Alabama freshmen. I got to tell you, kid's pretty mentally tough to go through all of that. You know, I've always talked about Cam Newton as the toughest athlete mentally that I ever saw. Remember when Cam was at Auburn? He was getting crushed. I mean, he was getting destroyed. And next thing you know, he just led him to a national championship. It was one of the most impressive things. Look, I don't condone anything about Alabama basketball. I don't condone anything about Brandon Miller. Darius, I cannot stand that this is where college basketball has gone, okay? I can't stand it. But the truth of the matter is you got to, in a basketball sense, you got to give it to Brandon Miller. I know he was not, I know that Pete Buttigieg was a freaking whatever you want to make him. He was a Rhodes Scholar. Yay, Rock, go fight, win. I got two friends, smartest guys I know, both doctors, and I told them both, you may be a doctor, but you're not going to be my doctor. That's it. You ain't going to be my doctor, big boy, period. All right, Danny Z, when we come back, I don't know if you saw this, but here's the stuff that, hey, look, I'm sure this is some kind of racist, right? I'm sure this has to be. So Brian Flores, remember Brian Flores, the coach of the Miami Dolphins? Brian Flores, who is suing the NFL over lack of minority coaches, turned down the interview with the Cardinals. Okay. I'm guessing he turned down the interview to be the head coach of the Cardinals because he knew he wasn't getting the job. Now, I don't know. That's what he's going to say. But Danny Z wrote an article on it. Danny Z also wrote an article. If you did not hear about our interview with Riley Gaines, who just went after the NCAA, went after Leah Thomas, went after Megan Rapinoe. Give yourself a few minutes. Go to OutKick or go to Don't At Me, my page, and listen to the interview. I think you'll be fascinated by it. I think a lot of you will really like it. The YouTube chat is pumping. I'm sorry, you're right, Henry. They were the, you're right. Houston was the home team in that. I did screw that up. All right. We will be back with Danny Z. We got to discuss Brian Flores. You want a head coaching job, you better go interview. I mean, it ain't like you're Lombardi and everybody's just going to give you the job. We'll be right back.
So I got to ask, what's it like to get punched in the face?
Obviously I try not to get punched in the face as much as possible. I do not like to get punched in the face. I feel like, which is probably not a good thing, but over time you kind of get used to it. You know what I mean? I don't even blink my eyes when I get punched in the face. I remember when I used to get punched, get rocked, you get like this adrenaline feeling like, oh my God, what happened? I don't really get that too much. It's either I'm getting knocked out or I'm just okay. So it's not the best feeling, but I try to avoid it. You know, I try to be smarter because concussions, you know, you're hearing all these things about concussions this day and age, and I try to only do my hard sparring only when I need to for my fights. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to just, let's go spar. It's fun. I love it. You know what I mean? Not anymore. I try to be smart about what I do.
Well, when it comes to the preparing for a fight, now what's your record as a pro since you've gone pro?
I am 5-1.
5-1. And
yep.
That's wildly impressive. So if you were an NFL team with that winning record, you'd be amazing, right?
Be all right?
Yeah. What's it look like when you prepare for a fight, though? What's that camp look like? What do you got to do to get yourself physically ready?
So for me, I'm always, no matter, I don't really like the way we do fight camps. That's the thing. We always call it fight camps and stuff like that. But I'm always training all the time for the sheer fact, because it's my job and I teach martial arts now. I own my own spot and I teach it. But on the other side of it is as I love it. So I'm obsessed, really, is what it comes down to. Is I am obsessed to trying to make myself better and better and better. So in fight camp, it's not really too much about me training martial arts as much as about me getting my diet and nutrition in order, getting my sleep right. So I'm always at peak performance and getting, it's basically diet, nutrition, and strength and conditioning, and just like a little extra stuff to tweak me for the fight camps. But I'm not training any less or more. Probably putting the same amount of hours in the gym. If anything, I'm taking my rest a little bit more seriously, so I can perform better when I need to perform.
American Jones on our YouTube chat. This always fascinates me. Danny Z, this always fascinates me. People say Dakich spent 20 minutes on all things East Palestine. No, I didn't. But anyway, without telling the backstory of how we got to this point and what the solution is going forward, well, I will tell you this, American Jones. First off, hire the most qualified, not the most diverse. That would be a solution. And second thing, were I to be on the payroll, were I to be somebody that is in Pete Buttigieg's position, I would absolutely have a solution. But I shouldn't be in Pete Buttigieg's position, just like Pete Buttigieg shouldn't be in Pete Buttigieg's position, because both of us are unqualified for this particular position. And that, frankly, is part of the problem. Now, I don't know how else to I love when people say, well, you're telling us the problem, give us the solution. Well, you put me on the payroll, and it is my job to give you a solution, I'll give you a solution. But my solution to all of the problems with our transportation is don't hire somebody that is absolutely not qualified. That was a disaster as a mayor in South Bend, Indiana. But I get it. Hey, he's a gay, married guy, blah, 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 blah. Danny Z joins us. Speaking of victim, Brian Flores says that, he's suing the NFL because of lack of opportunities to be a head coach. He feels he was wrongfully fired in Miami, yet he turned down, Danny Z, as you so adroitly wrote for OutKick.com, turned down an head coaching interview with the Arizona Cardinals. What the hell's going on here?
Not just an interview, the second interview. He did the first interview. He was invited back as a finalist, one of 3 according to reports, and simply said, no thanks. I'm going to go become the Vikings defensive coordinator, not even going to interview for the job. It's interesting. It would hurt his lawsuit if he got a head coaching job, right? So, it's hard not to speculate that there were some other motives as to why he wouldn't take this job. And what also I think it hurts his lawsuit anyway is the idea is that minority coaches don't get opportunities. Flores essentially elected to take what he thought was a better opportunity, go be the Vikings defensive coordinator. The Vikings defense was terrible last year. It can really only get any better this offseason and into next year and make him look great. It's a team that won the division. So he had his sort of pick of what he wanted to do. There were reports that other teams were interested in him as a defensive coordinator. He had head coaching interviews. So it's kind of hard for him to sit there and argue that his opportunities are limited, because I'm seeing a lot of opportunities, so many so that he was able to turn down the opportunity to move forward as one of 3 finalists for a head coaching job.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because everybody wants opportunity. Everybody that gets opportunity and then doesn't get the job always whines about it. This is a matter of a guy basically having his pick of jobs. And to think about this, he had his pick of jobs, even though he is suing the NFL. Now, think about that just for a second. If I'm suing the company that I'm trying to work for, which is basically what you're trying to do, it's interesting he had so many opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tough time with this because I almost wonder if, is the point of the lawsuit to just sort of hold teams in the league hostage? to say, you have to fix this. You need to hire diverse candidates no matter what. It didn't play out this hiring cycle. Obviously, there was only one minority head coach hired, D'Amico Ryans. But the Cardinals went ahead and hired a defensive coordinator. So clearly they were okay with bringing in a defensive guy, which means by all accounts, Flores would have been a good candidate for this job. It's unlike what happened in Carolina, where people tried to claim, well, they passed over Steve Wilkes for Frank Reich. Well, yeah, but Carolina desperately wanted an offensive-minded head coach. Like, that's why, and I think that's why that story didn't gain as much traction as maybe some people hoped it would, because, like I said, they wanted a head coach with some offensive experience, because Carolina has just a horrible offense and have for years. Whereas the Cardinals elected to go the defensive route, and Flores pulled himself out. So I don't know, man. It's a weird situation to be suing the league, but still getting jobs. He got a job last year with the Steelers. Now he's a defensive coordinator, interviewing for head coaching positions. It's just it's a bizarre world we're living in, really.
Oh, we are in a bizarre world. Give me your take on Brandon Miller playing for Alabama Slamma.
So I don't have a problem with it. I don't know what the school is supposed to do in this situation. He didn't commit a crime. The authorities have cleared him of any potential wrongdoing. I understand that the school could suspend him. The coach could bench him. But again, I would ask you, you're a former head coach, so you would obviously have a perspective on this that I don't have. But what are they supposed to suspend him for?
I would suspend him for bringing a gun to a murder site. I would suspend him for that. I think that, in fact, if I were the AD, I would fire Oates. He's got 3 players on campus that he brought that are involved in capital murder. That would be enough for me to fire Oates. I would say to Miller, you clearly knew, based on the text, or at least if you can read the text, from what's-his-face Miles, that there was a problem, and yet you chose to go bring a gun to this situation. He asked for a gun. He said there was a dust-up. You chose to bring it. I got to tell you, and in talking to Trey Wallace, who read the student code of conduct, I could obviously suspend him for multiple violations of that, including transporting a gun. But in my world, and my world is wrong, I lost $3.5 million over things at West Virginia when the president threatened me, when they were cheating. I stood up to the drug culture at Indiana, kicking players off. It cost me about $20 million there. So I have a different perspective on it. I have, but yet I'm a pariah. I would kick, Nate Oates would be gone. I can't have, there's 13 players on scholarship. 3 of them are involved in capital murder. Coach, I got to let you go. Good luck to you. And you 3 that are involved in capital murder, I read the text. You brought a gun. You knew there was a problem. You ain't playing for me.
So I don't have any pushback on the Oates thing. That's a fine point. But I would say that implicating Brandon Miller in this, when, as far as the evidence that I could tell, there's no clear proof that he knew that he was bringing a gun. They did GPS on his phone. He was already on his way there, so it wasn't like he was sitting on his couch.
Let me ask you a question. Why in these text messages didn't he say, "Hey, where's the gun"?
That's the question, though. Did he actually ever read it? If he was already on his way and it was already there, or was a minute or 2 away and didn't look at his phone in the 90 seconds while he was almost there, and the guy popped in the car to grab his own gun. It wasn't Miller's gun. Miller's attorney claims he never touched the gun. It was just in his car. My view on the situation is that the 3 of them went to a club together. One of them left their gun in the car. It was Miller's car. Miller left early and then went back to pick them up. All he thought he was doing was transporting his buddies to a club, then picking up his buddies from the club. And again, unless you can prove to me that Miller knew he was bringing the gun, knew that he had it, I don't think it's fair to say you have 3 players involved in a capital murder case, because I don't think you do. Now, listen, 2 out of 13 being involved is pretty good too.
Life isn't fair. I wouldn't care what's fair. I've got a community to protect. I got 11 gunshots ringing out. I've got an integrity of my program. Life isn't fair. They don't smack you on the ass. You mentioned the word fair. They don't smack you on the ass when you're born and say, hey, life's going to be fair. Look, you guys decide to run around with guns. You guys decide to be involved in this. Your car gets shot up. There's a lot of places for you to go play. Good luck to you. Man, that's why I'm out of coaching. And that's why, frankly, I'm a pariah in college basketball, because that's the way I think. I just can't have guys be involved in capital murder. And again, you mentioned the lawyer's statement. Dan Wetzel was pretty good with that earlier. He's like, look, the lawyer's statement, carefully crafted, is the most flowery, best that Brandon Miller could possibly be. It's the best he can possibly be. Whether they're telling the truth, whether the prosecutors are telling the truth. The one thing that I would say is and I have a brother that's a prosecutor, a sister that's a prosecutor. My sister, 25 years in Bloomington. My brother, 10 years here downtown Indianapolis. And they both said the same thing. If you're going to charge, you got to know what happened with Miller's car. Allegedly, according to the Alabama prosecutor, he blocked the young lady in. If that, in fact, is true, according to my brother, again, 10 years, my sister, 25 years, they prosecuted murders and all kind of stuff, then Miller is an accessory and should be charged in this. Alabama suggests there's video evidence that he didn't block in, whatever. But my way of looking at it is absolutely wrong. I totally get it. I totally get that I am on the outside. Again, I am a pariah. Too hard, too direct, but that's what I would do. And I always thought this, if I got to make excuses for players' behavior, then I'm in the wrong business. And I would fire Oates so fast for having 3 people. 1, allegedly brought a gun. 2, involved. 2, you said it. 2 is enough. Hell, 2's plenty. But again, I'm wrong. And I know I'm wrong, Danny. I do. I know I'm wrong. I know I'm on the outside. I know that I'm old guy yelling at clouds, and that's cool. But I also know college basketball is a frickin' cesspool. We've got 2 murders this year, and it ain't headed in any direction other than it, and they could use more rational thinking. Did you listen to our Riley Gaines interview? You wrote a nice article on it, and I thank you for that, because Riley Gaines ain't afraid, man.
Yeah, I like that she brought Rapinoe into it. And I think it's important in these situations that we do look at the people who are pushing these agendas and why. And it doesn't make any sense to me that Megan Rapinoe, a woman, is fighting for men to compete against women. I really just don't understand. If the U.S. women's team starts letting men play for them who say that they're women, Megan Rapinoe's out of a job. Becky Sauerbrun's out of a job instantly. So I'm trying to figure out, I cannot wrap my head around why female athletes are so into this idea. I cannot figure it out.
Why? I mean, let me ask you this question. Do you think that, I've always said this and I've always been crushed. I don't care who you're sleeping with, number one. I don't care. You want to sleep with farm animals, fine. You want to sleep, men want to sleep with men, I don't care.
Farm animals?
It does not matter to me. What's that?
That's a crime. Farm animals is a crime.
Not in Indiana, in some parts of Indiana. I mean, hey, there's not. I've always said that. I just get tired of it being pushed on me. And so in Rapinoe's case, I feel like, okay, she's fought for all this kind of stuff. Is this just another cause for Rapinoe? Is that all this is? Or other women like Alex Morgan, Pat Forty's daughter? Is this just another cause for them to connect to? For a bigger gain, like you can make money off this stuff. I don't know. You see what I'm saying here? Is that why Rapinoe does this?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. I mean, it's not even just money. It's social currency, right? You're on the right side. You're morally righteous, all that fun stuff. But what I wrote in the article and what I find fascinating is that 10 minutes ago, we're talking about the Me Too movement. Like, we got to get this misogyny out of here. Rapists, harassers, we got to get them out. Like, yeah, cool, awesome. When it comes to the abortion issue, it's women's right to choose. It's reproductive rights. It's women's health care. I thought we cared about women. But now the trans issue, especially in athletics, what we are talking about is allowing a man's feelings. I feel like I am a woman to trump that of actual women's feelings. What happened to the women's movement? What happened to all of the women's rights and the women's healthcare and the women, except when this dude wants to come over and swim against women, it's like, yeah, we got to let him do it. Is that not the ultimate form of misogyny, the patriarchy, all this stuff we're constantly talking about? It's the ultimate form of it.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because you said that so much better than I say it. Seriously, you do. Because that's how my wife says it. She's like, you know what? You wake up, you say you feel like a woman. You ain't a woman. Like, being a woman is hard every day. And you're right, me too. You said the wrong word, so you're a misogynist, you're sexist, healthcare boy. And now all of a sudden, it's all right. Hey, you guys want to take women's jobs because you feel like a man today? Go ahead. I'm with you, Danny. That was really well put.
Yeah, it's again, we're back to it, right? We're just living in this bizarro upside down world that doesn't make any sense. And yeah, back to Rapinoe though. I think you nailed it. Like you said, it's all about the social currency, the brand. I'm a left-wing warrior, social justice. That's another one I always find funny, that they call it social justice. What the hell is social justice? What does that even mean?
Right. What does that mean? You know what that means, in my opinion? Social justice means that you get people on social media to agree with your stance. I don't know. It's just like my truth, right? Like, there's the truth. There's justice. That's it. Stop adding words in front of things that we already have terms for. Right. No, all right. If this seems wrong to me, and I'm going back to the Riley Gaines interview. Leah Thomas has all these weird fetishes, allegedly, apparently, when people have dug through his, whatever the hell, social media. Got all these fetishes, all these weird things. Yet, in a swimmer's locker room, a women's swimmer's locker room, the NCAA said, we're going to make this unisex. Now, anybody that's ever been in an athletic locker room, not a country club, instead of men's and women's, we put unisex bathroom, a locker room, an actual, knows that there is absolute nudity, and Riley said it is not a place for modesty. Yet, instead of the NCAA saying, hey, look, you're going to go over here and change, they just allowed everybody to come in. Like, you and I could have walked into this locker room, what was a woman's locker room, because they made it frickin' unisex. That just seems wrong, if not criminal, to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the NCAA, right? We're seeing stories all over the place. The Wii Spa incident being a perfect example of that. I mean, this is happening because here's the thing. I think it was Dennis Miller that put it this way. Like, liberal left-wing politics is like a nude beach. The concept sounds great until you get there. Concept, great. Practice, awful. And this is what happens. Like, it sounds great. Like, let everyone use the bathroom they want. People will do the right thing. If you really feel like a woman, you should be allowed to use that bathroom. But what we're finding out is that it doesn't take long before people just go, oh, I can take advantage of this system? Well, I'm going to take advantage of this system. And that's what happens. And that's why all of these politics, like, again, I look at my liberal leftist friends and I go, I get it. You're an idealist. You see a potential for this to be the perfect country where everybody does the right thing and everything goes the right way. You're ignoring millions of years of not even just human history, of animal history. We have people who, you got the PETA, right? And they're like, animals are every bit as good as we are, whatever. Fine. Look at the animal kingdom. We don't hold them to this standard that, the lion's going to do the right thing for everyone involved. But no, the lion's going to do what the lion does for the lion. That's how humans work. We need to stop pretending that we're any better than that. Everyone's just going to do what's best for them at the time it's best for them, for the most part, with some exceptions, of course. But the idea, you cannot make policy based on hoping everyone does the right thing. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of left-leaning politicians make these days.
Man, that is such a good point. There's a book that I've tried. It's a man named Eldridge. I think John Eldridge wrote it. It's kind of my Bible. It's called Wild at Heart. And it basically says what you just said about, men are supposed to be a certain way. They should be allowed to be a certain way. And to your point, you're absolutely right. I mean, it would be nice. No, it would not be nice. Everybody shouldn't walk around here the same. Everybody shouldn't have the same thoughts. Everybody shouldn't have the same feeling. We shouldn't. There are certain factual, scientific ways of men and ways of women. And again, you put it much smarter than me. I got to go. You know what I'm going to do after this? I'm going to go do what Eminem did. I'm going to go study the dictionary. I'm going to go read the dictionary, starting at A and ending at Z. Because, again, you put it much better than I, and I don't like it. I don't like that people come on my show. Yesterday, Ryan Burke came on my show and told me it was the dumbest take that I've ever given. That wasn't nice. And now here you come telling me and saying things with words that are much better than mine. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So let me go back to something real quick. You heard my soliloquy, my righteousness as a college coach. You got to think I'm full of crap and let Brandon Miller play because, frankly, let's be honest, the other side of it is this. Nobody really gives a crap about anything anymore except for winning. Let's be honest. That's the way the world works now, does it not?
Yeah, and I was going to say that too before we change subject, which is we have to be realistic here. If Brandon Miller was a 4-point per game guy, he's probably not playing because they would rather just not deal with it. We see this all the time in sports, and not even sports, in life. Like, you're going to put up with more from people who produce. That's just the way it is. I mean, OutKick puts up with all your antics because you produce. If you didn't, they would cut you.
I would like one of my antics. What is what? Give me
that was a joke.
Give me
I'm just
one of
messing
my
with you, Dan.
antics.
messing with you.
I wish I had as exciting a life as people say. Like at 11 o'clock, I got to figure out what to do. I'm like the king of lunch now. I've never been to lunch. And now, Danny Z, I'm the king of lunch. All right. Now, last thing, moving forward. I got to get your take on this because I got to get everybody's take on this. About a week ago, John Skipper, who gave a speech, actually, at ESPN. There was like a crisis at ESPN. Skipper was running ESPN. You were probably there. He brought all the people into ESPN one day. And he gave this speech. And I got to tell you, I really liked Skipper. I thought he was folksy. I thought he was smart. All right. You come to find out he's got demons. You come to find out his decisions crushed ESPN, blah, 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 blah. But now he's saying pay-per-view Super Bowl. I cannot get behind this. I go the other way, Danny Z. I say Super Bowl national holiday for the people.
Yeah, I don't understand his point either. Like, let's charge people to watch the Super Bowl. It's like, well, that's what the ads are. It's like $7 million for 30 seconds. We are charging people to watch the Super Bowl. We're the product, and the advertisers are what pay for it. So that part doesn't make any sense. And I'm actually with you. I met John Skipper one time. He was perfectly nice. He was engaging. I was at the time a PA. He could have just, looked at me like, whatever, you're a PA. I'm not like, but he engaged in conversation. Perfectly nice guy. I had no issues with him. I took a ton of issues with what he did at ESPN because his decisions were just disaster after disaster.
Yeah, a catastrophe.
But he was a perfectly nice guy. I mean, I don't have any personal beef with him. But yeah, I don't. Pay-per-view Super Bowl. I just kind of laugh. I just go, honestly, if John Skipper says it's a good idea based on his track record, we should do the opposite. So I think we're okay.
I agree. Wait a second. That's what I used to tell my son. It's funny you bring that up. I'd say, you think what now? I say, okay, well, that's exactly what we're not going to do. We're good. That's your, okay. It's, but I get, in a way, I get that everything is becoming about money. Everything is about growing it. Everything is about content. Everything is about supply and demand, but not the Super Bowl, Danny. Not the Super Bowl. We can't do it with the Super Bowl.
No, what are we always talking about? We got to make sure everyone has access. Making the Super Bowl pay-per-view would disproportionately affect more people. And we can't have that. So it'll never happen just based on that side. I mean, can you imagine the complaints that would come in if the Super Bowl was $150, $200, and people couldn't watch it?
Yeah, can't have it. Yes or no, Alabama, Final Four. I'm not going to say national championship, but Final Four.
I say no. I think last night showed that there were some cracks in the foundation as far as just all of this drama going around the program. I mean, Miller showed out. That's great. But I bet South Carolina plus the point because I was like, there's no way this team's going to be able to come and win this game by 20 with everything going on. I think ultimately the chickens will come home to roost, as they say.
You're too young for that saying. You got any bets tonight?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the slate yet. I got to dig into it. I've spent my morning prepping hard for this interview to make sure that I was, bringing some knowledge to
I hit it big last night with Kentucky. Kentucky 2.5 points without Castleton, the guy who's the best player for Florida. It seemed too easy, right? And if it seems too easy, it's usually too easy. What are you writing about today? What do you got? You writing anything?
I don't know yet. I haven't looked around. The NFL is generally where I stick, and it's just been quiet. We're kind of in that no news is good news period of the NFL, where if a player's name is trending, it's like, oh God, what did he do? Can't be anything good. So I'm just sitting here waiting,
KAMARA,
checking my police blotter to see who got arrested.
ALVIN KAMARA, the gift that keeps on giving. All right, my friend, thanks for bringing the heat. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, we got the damn awards. We got some good stuff. Look, all right, we already talked about President Biden falling through the freaking, oh, man. Can we get a president that just can walk? Also, we got some stuff that we worry about. The crap we worry about is nuts around here. I mean, insane around here. All right. When we come back, I got damn awards and I got the stuff we worry about just fascinates me when we come back.
College football's in trouble. There's a lot of people trying to keep it from happening.
I think it's a general consensus across the college football landscape. We want to play football.
College football is a huge part of the fall. It's a huge part of Americana itself.
It just really felt like people in the country needed college football to just feel a little sense of normal.
Big news from the Big Ten as the conference releasing its 10-game football schedule.
We go home thinking that we're going to be practicing the next day. Everybody gets a text, stay home, everything's canceled.
Big Ten fall football season has been canceled.
We just believe collectively there's too much uncertainty.
I guess what I'm trying to understand, though, Kevin, is that was the same position you had 6 days ago.
The Big Ten is an unmitigated disaster.
There was a ton of confusion. There was presidents saying one thing, there was coaches saying another.
Players had to be silent, coaches had to be silent, ADs had to be silent.
People said, how does what you just did make any sense?
And nobody really knew what the heck happened when they voted to cancel the season.
You make this huge historical announcement, and then Kevin Warren never does a press conference to explain it. It was like a masterclass in how not to handle a crisis.
The word really that was lacking in all this is transparency.
It felt like a lot of stuff was happening behind closed doors.
Even today, we still don't know what occurred.
So you don't tell us parents, that's fine, but you're not telling the young men that it affects.
We have to make a decision to save the season. What about the history books? What about the rivalry games? What about Paul Bunyan's axe? How is that not going to go to a team this year?
This is a failure of epic magnitude. The Big Ten presidents and leaders should be held accountable for the disastrous decisions that they're making.
Then the commissioner doubles down, saying his decision will not be revisited.
And that's the point. It felt like a war was declared on the Big Ten and Kevin Warren.
Everything turned political.
Because if this is medical, then you would have stopped the game of football a long time ago.
I think the Big Ten leaders will tell you that they probably made a mistake in hindsight.
If I had the chance to do it all over last year, I would make the same decisions that we made.
Brandon Miller last night played. Brandon Miller had 41. Brandon Miller won the game for Alabama on the road in front of a hostile crowd, taking all of the crap that he and his teammates may or may not have been involved in. I guess we're supposed to say allegedly. That does show an incredible amount of mental toughness from the kid, so you got to give him that. I go back to Cam Newton, where, you know what, Cam Newton had cameras, his dad sold him, whatever. Well, I got to tell you, Cam Newton showed up, showed out, and got her done. Oh, so we'll award Brandon Miller a Dammy because of mental toughness last night. But the real damn awards, the real things are coming now, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get into these damn awards. All right, let's get them ready, big boy. The damn award, If These Walls Could Catch. I don't know if you guys saw this, but my God, watch this catch or this attempt. I mean, this is unbelievable right here. Check this out.
Mayshore skies that one to the right side. That one's going back to the wall and over the fence.
Oh.
Right. I think he deserved it nonetheless, but people love to argue with it.
Here's a liner to right field for McDonald, racing back to the track, to the wall, a diving play. Again, what hustle coming from Buhanda McConnell.
Oh, man, that dude had himself a day. Hondo McConnell. He ran into the wall face first. He apparently can't listen, or his center fielder didn't talk. Because, look, if your center fielder's talking, you don't run, hey, whoa, whatever. But the dude made another catch. I will say this. That dude is absolutely a tough guy. Most guys on the second catch, don't you agree, on the second catch, most would have said, yeah, I ain't going here. I'll be tippy-toeing. Boom, he don't care. He don't care. He's running hard. He's going. Boom! Boom! I could watch that all day. You know, I've talked about the Indy Star, and I've talked about mainstream media. Indy Star, we found out yesterday, wrote an article about Ted Valentine, totally made up by Ted Valentine, why he skipped the 2014, or didn't skip, got the boot from the 2015 NCAA tournament. Greg Doyle, our favorite writer, who never gets it right, and I mean never gets it right, got it wrong. He didn't check. He told my friend John Adams, yeah, I didn't check, and so he wrote something. They never get it right. Media never gets it right. So let's hear Andrea Mitchell interviewing old Heels Up. We love us some Heels Up, Harris. How'd she get her job? I don't know, but that's how she got her nickname, however she gets her job. Heels Up is talking to Andrea Mitchell, and let's listen.
Let me ask you, what does Governor Ron DeSantis not know about black history and the black experience when he says that slavery and the aftermath of slavery should not be taught to Florida school children?
I don't know what he knows and what he doesn't know, but I know this. Any push to censor America's teachers and tell them what they should be teaching in the best interest of our children in partnership with the parents of America is, I think, wrong-headed. The people who know our children best are their parents and their teachers in terms of the time they spend and the investment they've placed in the brains and capacity of our children, who are our nation's future. And it should not be some politician saying what should be taught in our classrooms.
And you said that Nikki Haley was using coded language. What do you think about her suggesting a cognitive test for presidents, for candidates for president?
I did not watch her speech, but when you present the suggestion that anyone is saying that it is time for a new generation, and they're running against the person who is president, and when presented as though it's an attack, I would like to let us all be clear that the attack is misplaced if the point of it is that we need leadership that is strong, because we have a strong leader in Joe Biden.
No, we have a piece of crap leader in Joe Biden, and you know what? I really don't like getting into all of this. Here's the deal. When Kamala Harris speaks, I simply don't pay attention. You know, we talked about John Skipper, right? We said, hey, John Skipper, if he says to do it, then you do it the other way. Okay, well, that's how I feel about this idiot. She's so smug. She's so stupid. She speaks in word salads. Is that the new word? But it's just amazing to me that we would pay attention to this woman. It amazes me that this woman got to a point where we actually have to pay attention to me. Andrea Mitchell interviewed. She asked Harris a question about Ron DeSantis and his position on teaching slavery and the aftermath of slavery. Let me ask you this. Mitchell asked, what does Ron DeSantis not know about black history and the black experience when he says that slavery and the aftermath of slavery should not be taught to Florida school children? Well, that's a flat-out lie. And Kamala Harris, of course, doesn't have enough integrity to say, well, that's not what he said. The following is in the required instruction statute, the history of African Americans, including the history of African people, before the political conflicts that led to the development of slavery, the passage to America, the enslavement experience, abolition, and of course, the history and contributions of Americans of the African diaspora to society. So I don't know how Andrea Mitchell got out of that to ask this idiot why Ron DeSantis doesn't want slavery taught in schools. It's just a flat-out lie. And of course, Kamala Harris doesn't know enough. She's probably, I don't know, she seems like she's on some kind of stuff every time that I see her talk. I don't know the answer, but what I do know is that Andrea Mitchell flat out lied. And I try to tell you this, my experience is now there's about 12 or 14 times I've been in the national news. The media never gets it right. I mean, never, ever. Hell, I don't get it right all the time, and I try. These people don't even try, but I try. Out of the frying pan into the fire, Noah Song, I want you to listen to this story. Noah Song was discharged from the Navy on Wednesday. It paved the way for him to report to the Philadelphia Phillies. He's going to go play, or try to play, for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's going to training camp Thursday, and he's going to try to make the opening day roster after they chose him from the Boston Red Sox in December's Rule 5 draft. Now, the Rule 5 draft means a couple things. Rule 5 draft means that you're going to be on a roster. It prevents too many teams. It's named, I'm not going to bother you with it, but basically, if chosen, a player must be kept on the active roster for the entire year. That player may not be optioned or designated to the minors. So this kid, the Rule 5 draft is a bit like winning the lottery. You get picked in the Rule 5 draft, guess what? You get a chance. How about that? To prevent abuse of the rule states that the draftee must be active for at least 90 days. There you go. You can't be putting him on the injured list for the majority of the season. If he's only active 67 days with his new club, then he must be active for an additional 23 days the next year. You're going to get your 90 days of big league service if you are a Rule 5 draftee. So Noah Song ends up in the majors from Navy. I am here for it. Miracle on ice, ladies and gentlemen. Miracle on ice. I got to tell you, it was 1980. A young Dan Dakich was hanging out, and I heard it. I heard it on the radio. I was somewhere in Gary. I think I was at Pete Sweatnoff's house. I might have been at a girl's house. I can't remember. But I remember sitting there. They had the radio on, and the Miracle on Ice, they said if you don't want to listen, or it was going to be played on tape delay. All right? So they said on the radio, if you don't want to know who won, turn the radio off. Well, I remember I was sitting in a chair. We were all gathering at Mark Holcomb's house that night to watch the Miracle on Ice. I'm sitting in a chair and I heard the score. I didn't tell anybody. We're watching the game in Mark Holcomb's basement. It was 1980, so I was in the middle of an unbelievable run as a basketball player, but I digress. What? I'm digressing. We ran outside. We were so full of pride when the United States won, and the movie was actually pretty good, Miracle. And Kurt Russell was very good as Herb Brooks. Herb Brooks was the college hockey coach that picked this team against the wishes of a lot of people, and he had a center named Micah Ruzioni. Now, Micah Ruzioni was a terrific leader. There were actually, I think, 3 Bowling Green guys on the team, and I got to meet a couple of them over my time as the head coach of Bowling Green, and it was a thrill. I sat on a plane next to Micah Ruzioni one time, and he was a very nice guy. Jim Craig was the goalie. You see him right there. Jim Craig's story, his father had passed away. Jim Craig never really, truly made it in the NHL, but man, did he get hot. And people forget this. The Miracle on Ice, ladies and gentlemen, the Miracle on Ice didn't win the gold medal. They had to beat Sweden the next night on Sunday. I don't know if it was the next night, maybe it was 2 days later, maybe it was a Friday, Sunday kind of thing, but I remember it was in the afternoon. And I remember as a crazy sports guy saying, wait a second, it's over. Got to beat Sweden. You beat the Russians, who had beat them by double digits in Madison Square Garden earlier. You see the picture of them as they are older, but it is one of America's great sports stories, and I got to tell you, it put Al Michaels absolutely into superstar broadcasting status with his call, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes! It's a fantastic night. It's a night that I really will never forget. It really is. It's fantastic. So if you get a chance, where was Dan D on this day in '85? I was in Mark Holcomb's basement. As I said earlier in the day, I don't know if I was getting a boutonniere. I may have been over at this lady's house getting a boutonniere. Maybe we had a high school dance, and of course I took care of the ladies with flowers because that's who I am. Anyway, so there you go. So that's what I did. That's where I was. Mark Holcomb's basement. Were any of you guys, any of you on the YouTube chat even born in 1985? Were any of you even born? Bill Martin says, Sunday morning, as I remember, I skipped church to watch the gold medal game. Dan, it was Finland, not Sweden. You're right. I think they tied Sweden in the first round. Yeah, I was in the basement. We went to the basement. We gathered around, probably had some beers. Yeah. High school, I was the class of 1980, but I redshirted a year in high school, so I became 81. So all the guys in the class of 80 were my peeps. So there you go. That's right. That's right, people. That's what we did. We hung out, but I don't think any of you. Nah, I had 9 more years before I was born. That's El Presidente. Dave Rhodes was in the Navy. Senator BS says he was born a few years before that. Were you even born? I got to find my listeners. Were you even born in 1985? All right, the crap we worry about. Look, I would like to say the suck it, Russia. Suck it. I got to tell you, the whole suck it thing makes me laugh. It always makes me, oh man, it absolutely makes me giggle. It does. Uh-oh, the Broken Peen Award. What is that? Tell me. I don't know what that is. Put that back. What is that? Who is that? What is this? You can't leave me in the dark. I got to look it up. Broken Peen? Is that like those penile fractures? I don't know. They told me to skip it. Is that what that is? Is that like, I see those commercials with the carrot that's crooked, hangs a hard right, no pun intended. Is that what that is? I don't know. Oh, man. The S we worry about. Ladies and gentlemen, we worry about so much stuff. We worry. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, we worry about. Oh, my God. Meghan Markle, is she okay? Is she okay? Now, I want to make sure that Meghan Markle is okay because, you know, she only wants to go on book tours, but she doesn't want any of us, none of us, to know her. She wants to be left alone. These people are so full of crap. So the stuff we worry about. All right, big boy, what's number one? Oh, man, I got to tell you. So here's the deal. So Will Smith walks on stage and he gives the what for. He does. He gives the what for to Chris Rock. By the way, that was a porn star named Liam Ellis. He suffered a debilitating penis injury during shooting. That's what the broken peen was. Thank goodness for the New York Post, baby. Thank goodness. Seriously. Thank goodness. I want it all. All right. So anyway, the crap we worry about. So we're sitting here, and there is now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about this. There is now a task force designed for Will Smith-like behavior, meaning at the Oscars this year, they have a task force. We're going to make sure nobody slaps anybody. Well, I got to tell you, I got to tell you, the best thing that happened at the Oscars was Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Why? Because it made us talk about the Oscars. I'm sorry, it just did. There is what is called a crisis team is going to be in place. A crisis team will be introduced to handle any real-time incidents in response to Will Smith. Now, I got to ask you, why wasn't that crisis team in place? So you could have gone to the Oscars, paid your ticket, got your invite, whatever, been a terrorist, and just walked up on the stage. There was no crisis team? Because of last year, we've opened our minds to many things that can happen at the Oscars, Academy Chief Executive Bill Kramer said. We have a new unit, run many scenarios in the hopes that they are prepared for anything. It's been deployed. It's already been deployed following the surprise Best Actress nomination of Andrea Riseborough. Listen to this. The star's little scene indie film was an outsider, but she secured a nomination after being championed by the greats Gwyneth Paltrow, Courtney Cox, Edward Norton, Jennifer Aniston. All right. The crisis team was enacted because they wanted to find out, did these lovely ladies violate the rules of endorsing, advertising for? We were able to issue a formal statement from the board because the Oscars are on this with a crisis team. All right, what's next here, big boy? Thank God. I wouldn't have slept. Oh, yeah. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is what we should be. Non-hiring. Look at bottom right. Non-stupid people. What's the test? I'll tell you the test. You walk in with a face tattoo, you're stupid. How high your neck tattoos dictate to me how stupid you are. I know I'm wrong about this, and I know there's some kind of ist that should be attached to me, but you got to admit, this is one of the great signs of all time. Now hiring non-stupid people. That's right. Non-hiring, non-stupid people. I agree. I think every sign should say that. Not hiring. Look, I would hire you. I would. But you see the sign out there? You seem stupid. I can't do it. I'm ducking from punches maybe, but I don't. Let me explain this to you, Jimmy. Why would you walk in here when you saw the sign? It didn't say now hiring anybody. We put a caveat to it. We said non-stupid. Look, you got a face tattoo going this way. You got a head full of hair tattoos. I don't want it. You're stupid. Here's why you're stupid, Jimmy, because there's going to be a point in time in your life where, quite frankly, you don't want a face tattoo anymore, and you're going to try to grow hair so you cover up the idiot hair tattoos. So you're stupid right now. Come back in about 25 years, and we'll hire you once you're not stupid. Or you ask a guy, hey, look, bring me your high school records. Because the truth of the matter is, in Baltimore, I think we saw not one public school kid pass the efficiency test on math. You're stupid. You may be street smart. You may be brilliant. Whatever. But if you can't pass simple efficiency tests in bad high schools, you're stupid. Same thing with Chicago. I can't hire you. There's criteria for being stupid. Well, maybe he's book smart. Maybe, but how do I know that? I can only go by what I can go. And if you're stupid, I ain't hiring you. It's literally that simple. I'm sorry, but I can't hire you. Well, just give them a chance. Stupid people need work too. I agree. I totally agree. Stupid people do need work, and there's plenty of places to work, but you're not working at Santino's Pizzeria. Salute, Santino's Pizzeria. It's time we stop glorifying the stupid. Go to TikTok, watch any of these videos about gender and all this crap. You'll see a whole boatload of stupid. You will. Nobody wants stupid in their life. Nobody wants to be around stupid. Good. Santino's Pizza, I'm ordering out. We'll figure it out. We'll get back to you. We'll order out. We'll have some pizza. We'll have a pie, Santino's. And I guarantee you it will not be served to me by the terminally stupid. Speaking of terminally stupid, every day we do this. Every day we give a Woke a Dope award. So, Dylan and Ryan, let's see here who is our Woke a Dope. Who's the dope today? Oh, man. Bill Gates defends his use of a polluting private jet after flying to Australia to lecture about climate change and reveals why he is not part of the problem. Okay. I'm telling you, here's the deal. If I were a liberal, I could do this, and you all would have to believe me. You would be forced to believe me. I could sit here and I could say, hey, look, I have a full head of hair. I do. What? I have a full head of hair. Yeah. Look, I still have my radio show on 107.5 The Fan every day. I do. I'm a multimillionaire. I can say anything. That's my point. These guys say anything. The other day, one of the clowns got up there, I think it was Kamala Harris, and talked about how, well, you know, electricity bills are going down. They're up 11%. Well, you know, that's more money in the pocket to take a vacation, to buy that new refrigerator. These idiots say anything when every fact goes the other way. So Bill Gates, you know, I always thought maybe I'm wrong, but I did look this up, and they are a problem. Like, if you are trying to get your carbon footprint shrunk, guess what? Private planes, airplanes are a problem. Now, Bill Gates can say they're not. It's fine. It's like Bernie Sanders charging $95 to go listen to him speak on the evils of capitalism. Okay. All right. $95, I'm guessing it's going in his pocket, to speak on the evils of capitalism. Okay. I'm telling you, you can say whatever you want and doesn't matter. Does not matter. I'm going to say this. You ready? Get your pen and paper out. Get your pen and paper out because I've been pretty good with this. In fact, I had a massive day yesterday because I did not know this before the show, but Kentucky was only getting 2.5. So here's what I did today. I don't like today's slate, but when you're a degenerate, hey, look, you're a degenerate. I took two teams to win on the money line at plus 100. So I'm betting 100 to win 200. I'm taking Illinois at home, and I'm taking Rutgers at home, and I don't like either. I don't love them. I like them. I like them enough to bet, but I'm taking them as a parlay, so I'm getting plus money, and there you go. That's what we're getting. So if you don't like it, I understand. Don't take it. But here's the other deal, and I want to make this perfectly clear. People have asked me, why don't you put the bets that you have every day you talk about, why don't you put them up? I'll tell you why. Because it's the middle of a game. And I'm watching the game, and I decide to bet it. And in watching the game and deciding to bet it, if I broadcast it, you're going to get mad at me because it's going to lose. It is. It's just going to lose. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I bet Kentucky to start with, and then I saw Duquesne was down. So I put a parlay together of Kentucky and Duquesne, won $261. That's right, I did. I saw Bellarmine was up late. Bellarmine, even though they were up late, were still, ladies and gentlemen, still getting good money. So I parlayed them with UConn, who was winning, and Kentucky. I only bet $78, but it paid $193, so I made $120 on that. And I did the same thing with North Carolina Greensburg. So my point is, I have a new method of winning, and I will show you this. I will keep track for you in the new year. In the new year, because you can go to this on DraftKings. It tells you. It tells you what it is on DraftKings. So on DraftKings, this calendar year, I will look this up for you. This month, I've made $451, which to me is a nice, tidy little sum. This year, I've made $1,636 by doing it the Dan Dakich Watch the Game way. I tell Lee it's my third job. Job number one, most important, this. Job number two, I get bored in the evening. It's my new diet. I don't want to sit around. I don't want to nibble, so I go DoorDash. And I make about $100 a week, and I send it to my bikes program. So that's my second job. And my third job, we've made $1,600 so far this year. The goal is to make 10 grand this year. We know there's going to be months where there's not much going on. Those months, of course, are July and August. That's all right. But our goal is to make $10,000 minimum this year, and we're at $1,600, so we're at 16%. I will try, ladies and gentlemen, to put it out there for you because I know a lot of you like to gamble. And that's why I will try. And I will keep you updated on the winnings and the losing. But right now I only got $100, and that $100 is going double my money because Illinois at home and Rutgers at home are both favorites. There you go. All right? Did we have a poll question today, boys and girls? Danny Boy's bets. You know, people use the term Danny Boy to be discrediting me. All right, how long should you wait to swim after eating? I got to tell you, my mother made me sit on a towel at the Meadowdale pool for a half hour. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. So I'm part of the 57. My kids, they got to wait a half hour. I don't, because of cramps was always what was told. I don't ever recall getting a cramp. I don't ever recall getting it. But hey, if you're in the 43% that think you can go less than 30 minutes, God bless you. Hope you don't drown. If you're the 57% that said, hey, we got to wait 30 or more, God bless you. You won't drown. That's right. That's right. You won't drown. Huge thanks to everybody. Man, the YouTube chat. Jennifer, you're awesome. Ron Richardson, Ruel Miller, Dave Rhodes, Lick, you're always getting it done. Jim Eagle, Gary Betty, Iron Man, Jennifer, Jim Eagle, Lick, Ruel, Miller, Uncouth, Ron Richardson, and then the 400 or 500 people that have been on all day on our YouTube chat. We thank you. We thank you for letting us into your morning. We thank all of you that are watching on Twitter. You guys that are on Twitter, can you retweet the damn show? I got to build this audience. Look, I can't get back into coaching. I'm a pariah. Can't get back into broadcasting. I'm a pariah. This is all I got. This and gambling. Be a mensch. Help a brother out. Dylan and Ryan, you guys are awesome. I know Aaron's been in Nashville getting things straightened out. Haley, Caitlin, no more Corey, but Chuck, thank you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'm doing lunch today. I'm going to AJ's over here by my house. In fact, I'm debating. Here's what I'm debating. Do I walk? It's about 1.5 miles. Do I walk to AJ's, have lunch with my boy Frank Cefali, and walk back? Or do I drive? I don't know. These are the decisions that I have to make. Also, you can catch me later on today, Columbus Radio 97.1. I do a hit with them every Thursday. Have a great day, everybody.